They say life is measured in moments. But grief is measured in absence. My name is Claire Monroe. I'm 28, a hospice nurse in Boston. And I came home to Vermont because the only person who ever asked me to stay had already died. When my father passed, unexpected heart failure, they said there was nothing I could have done. They said grief can suffocate. I said nothing. I did not return for closure. I returned because the house was empty. Because no one asked me to. I didn't cry. Not at the funeral. Not when they carried the casket down the hill. My father was a distant man. Loving only in fits. Rare laughter, a hand on my shoulder, a cold stare that followed me after I said something wrong. My mother was warmth. She said, "I love you every day." He spilled coffee on my shirts. He tucked me in at night. She warned him to be gentle with me. And then she drank. A lot. Mom said she didn't mind that Dad was absent. Dad's attention was love enough. But he left her every day. And one day he never came back. When the will was read, there were gasps. All the estate, the business, everything, left to Martin, my uncle. Evan got the chain of gas stations and the vintage car collection. Denise got jewelry, antique furniture, the family cabin. Me. I got a letter stating they didn't know I existed. A separate letter meant to disappear. No inheritance. No mention. I felt invisible. 2 days later, in that musty old library, I found the key in the hidden will. Signed and notarized 6 weeks before Daddy died. All assets, cash, land, to me. Legal. Final. I could have packed it away. Pretended I never saw it. Left them in power. But I didn't. Because when I read that final clause, must be found if anything happens to me, I felt something shift. It wasn't love he left me. It was guilt. A confession in parchment. But it was also a departure from our silence. I called my old friend Rachel, a childhood neighbor who's now a court reporter. I told her I needed help figuring out if this will was valid. She said, "Be careful." But I needed nothing more than careful. I spent another week in towns all around. I pulled probate records, tax rolls, brand new anonymous bank account filings. I traced payments made to Denise's charity, payments funneled through Evan's name to an offshore account. Martin had started siphoning company money into a luxury real estate partnership overseas. And Dad discovered it. After confronting Martin, he created the will. So Martin covered it up. So Denise destroyed letters. Evan hid Nate's overdose notes. They were 3 predators. And I knew what I had to do. I returned to Boston. But I wasn't safe there. Not yet. I emailed journalists. I sent partial evidence to nonprofits helping grieving families hurt by substance abuse. Nonprofits funded by my father's original donations before he turned cold. I wanted the truth out. But I wanted it done cleanly. A week later I flew back. I went to the county courthouse in Vermont with a notarized affidavit. I hired a lawyer. I had the hidden will authenticated. When word got out, faces changed. Denise wept in front of cameras. Martin raged behind closed doors. Evan disappeared for days. Every outlet in the state called my phone. They wanted the real story. At the press conference, I looked into the lens and said, "I did not come here for your pity. I came here with the truth. For my father. For my brother. For all the years you stole." They asked why I didn't take the estate. I said, "I don't want his wealth. I want accountability. I don't need your guilt, and I don't need your charity." Courtrooms followed. Lawsuits. Criminal referrals. Martin surrendered his local office. Denise closed her foundation. Evan was arrested on charges of neglect and obstruction of justice in Nate's death. They offered restitution. Apologies. None of it mattered. I flew back once more, this time alone, to the old estate. The house was quiet. The wind rattled windows like whispers. I unlocked the library floorboard, retrieved the box, the will, the letters. I locked it again and left the key inside, the same brass key. I didn't want to revisit. I wanted to remember. I returned to Boston, back to the hospice center. Every day I held someone else's hand as they died pain-free. I saved no money from the estate. I invested nothing. I gave most away in Nate's name. Donations to addiction recovery centers, scholarships for kids who lost siblings to mental illness. I used what was his name, his money, to heal someone else. My inheritance? It was this. Truth. Strength. Closure. And the silent power of the daughter who wasn't supposed to matter. I don't dress in black anymore. I don't hide from memory. But I don't weaken either. Because sometimes the only revenge that matters isn't loud. It's the quiet declaration you make when you decide your voice, a voice they tried to erase, is still here.